For such a big project, we need to start with a good plan. The platform will become quite complex over the time, so it is very important to document some critical and important details from the beginning. We will start with small steps, and probably the most important step is the project architecture. In the concept folder, you will find the markdown file with some initial diagrams and ideas. In different Internet of Things cloud platforms, the relationship between physical hardware like ESP32 or Arduino boards or Raspberry Pi Pico and so on, and their connected components like sensor or other devices is defined using various terminology. For example, by Arduino Cloud, we have devices. That means the device is the physical hardware, like Arduino boards or ESP32. And things are the logical representation of sensor, actuators, and other components. By other Internet of Things clouds, we have devices and device registers, or devices and modules, or devices and asset, and so on. In this project, I will follow the ESP Rainmaker concept. That means I will use nodes for the physical hardware devices like ESP or Raspberry Pi Pico and so on, and devices for the logical user controllable entities like sensor and so on. The platform must also be very flexible, allowing me to use any type of devices and nodes, any MQTT broker, and if I want to add new service along the way, I should be able to do so without any issue. For this reason, I create a small diagram to show you the direction we are heading. We have the principal component, the backend, the Laravel backend. We have authentication, we have some services, and we have two databases. A database, for example, MongoDB, only for Internet of Things devices, for example, for telemetry data, message data, and so on. A database for the Laravel, internal Laravel data like user, device data maybe, or other stuff. And here you can use SQLite, MySQL, Postgres, what do you want? Okay, now I create here other diagram with some data models, for example, for the user, for user node mapping. That is a table that connect the node and the user, automation, device, parameter, and telemetry, and so on. But in the future, we will add some new table too. Of course, you will need a lot of endpoints for the API. Here is only some few examples for the API, for the register, login, logout, forgot, reset, and so on. We need a lot, yeah, for the devices, for the nodes, and so on. Of course, other important steps are the MQTT communication. The platform uses MQTT for communication between the backend and Internet of Things devices. And we can add a second layer too. That means we can use a secure claiming process over API, followed by communication over MQTT. That means we can perform a direct verification of the device via API, and then we can communicate with the device via MQTT. I will start with the creation for the models and migration. PHP artisan make model, and I will say the node model -m, and I go to the database migration and we have the node. Also, we have the nodes table with node UID, name, type, and firmware version. We have the node mappings table that connect the user with the nodes, and we have the model node belongs to many user, and the user belongs to many nodes, and we have the user node mapping class here, model, and that's all. Now I will make the seeder. And we have this user seeder. I insert a user for me and other 10 user. We have node seeder. I insert these devices and some data, and user node mapping seeder. I add to the user some devices. And in the database seeder, I call the seeders first user node and user node mapping seeder. That means now we can make PHP artisan migrate fresh minus seed, and it works. Now when I go to the database, I go to the user, I see 11 users, user node mappings, some dummy data, and nodes 2. Perfect. Next step, I will create a controller for the node. PHP artisan make controller node controller, and node controller, and I will insert the function index first. Public function index, and we can make some nodes is node with user 2, and I will return a view, return view nodes index compact nodes. Perfect. And I will create the view, but I want to fetch the nodes via API too. That means we can make condition here if request wants JSON. Perfect. We have this helper, return response JSON nodes, and we can make this at the end. That means we have a view in the browser, but when I call via API, I get the JSON. Now I go to the controller, to the routes, sorry, and I will make here a route for the node in the browser. For example, route get and maybe nodes, and I will call the node controller class index nodes index. Perfect. And and I go now to the API here, and I will make the same, and now we can test. I fixed some typo error here in the node model, and now we can test. I go in the index, and I will insert the nodes here, for example, and I go in the browser and I see the nodes, yeah. But I go now and I will create the token API super test create. I will copy this, and now I can go in the Insomnia, for example. I have the API nodes here. I introduce the node, the token, and I get the browser version. I don't want this. I add some verification about the request, and now it works. That's mean now we get the JSON, but later I will insert a resource for this. Also, we get request via API, and it works in browser too. Nodes, and it's perfect. Or you can make like this, and it works perfect. But now I will make a resource for the node. That's mean PHP artisan make resource node resource, and this create this file, and here I will define a public function to array. Without a resource, Laravel would expose all attributes for the model. But we with resource, I make here a resource for the node and a resource for the user. We can manipulate the data. We can select what do we want to expose. That's why in the controller now, node controller, now I have here the node resource collection. That means I want to expose only this. And now I get the data. Now I want to install a package, Scribe, and because we build a big API, I don't want to make the documentation manually. That means I will generate the API documentation for humans from Laravel codebase, and that's why I use this package Scribe. I will install the package. First, I go in the PHP store, and and I need this command too, and that's all. And now we have a config file. Close all tabs, script.php, and here is the config file. But for now I will not change the file. Later maybe we make a custom design for our documentation. I will generate direct with PHP artisan scribe generate, and we have an error. And this problem is because I don't use the controller here in the API. That means Scribe don't documentate the route with closure. That's why I will make some changes here. For example, I added the controller for the node. Now I will make a clear, route clear, and try second time, and now it works. We have some issue here. Target class ability does not exist, but we have already some documentation. We have here this folder scribe, and for example, when I click here, we get in the browser some documentation. We have here the get API nodes, and we can make a test here, but we must to fix some issue. The error is because I don't have the middleware for the abilities. I will make later. Now I will insert in the controller the verification about permission. That's mine. We have this route in the controller, and here we can make the verification about token can read. For example, like this. Yeah. And now I will test, and now we have all the green, and we don't have an error. Perfect. And here we have the endpoints, get API user, get API node. Here we have the example. You can use JavaScript, but we can set other programming language here. I go to in the scribe config, and in this place you can add other languages, for example PHP or Python, and I will generate again. Now we have Bash, JavaScript, PHP, Python. Perfect. I will stop here, and in the next video I will continue.